Everybody's muted now.
Okay, guys, so part two, we're going to talk now about the quantitative analysis. So when you're taking a look at your team and how you can help them move forward, and I should mention too, there is an incredible promotion that's going on this month that it really, really rewards you to help move your team forward. If you haven't taken a look, basically the promotion bonuses that you would be getting for ranking up in the first 4 levels are doubled for that individual that promotes, but also it's matched, not at the double level, but at the single level, it's matched to the upline sponsor. So for you as a director, if you help Susie Q, who just joined last month, promote this month to a junior rep, typically she would get a $50 bonus and you get nothing. Well, this month, she would get a $100 bonus and you would get a $50 bonus. So think about how exciting that is when you think about all the new people that you've personally recruited that are new, that you can now help to advance to those next ranks. So it's really add up and be really, really exciting. So let's take a look at how you kind of identify some of these opportunities for growth within your team. And this is something that you should be doing. I mean, I do it all the time on an ongoing basis, but you should at a very minimum be doing this at the beginning of every single month. So what I do is I go to my back office and I click on downline over here. And actually I should go back over to the home here for a second. Do you guys know when you are on your back office like this, if you just scroll down, not only do you have all of your levels here, but there's also the representative qualifications. I feel like this hasn't been like this forever, but I just realized this the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool that it's so here, right here. But this levels right here. I want to kind of go through this because I think a lot of times, even as directors, we don't pay attention much to this, but qualified value by level. So think of yourself guys as level 0. And then there's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So this is level 1 are your personal recruits, level 2 are their recruits, level 3 are their recruits, so on and so forth. So it's really interesting to take a look at these numbers and see how they are kind of trending. This is just month to date so far. But, you know, when you're looking at your levels and the totals, you can look at it by the end of the month or just look at your snapshot that's going on right now. It's kind of a weird number right now, but it's only a few days into the month. But typically your goal, you should always be trying to build your front line. So what that means is your personal recruits. Your business is going to have all these different legs, like little tentacles, legs in the business. And you want to have every person that you recruit represents a leg. And you want to have as many tentacles as you can, or to build as wide as possible. I guess another way to think of it is like you are a tree and you want to have strong roots into the ground. You don't want to just have like 1 or 2 like little roots, and then if one root kind of dies and you just got the one root and then a storm comes and the tree goes down, right? You want to have lots of different roots that are kind of sprouting out from your trunk and building nice and deep to build a really strong foundation. So level 1, you want to have lots of different legs to your business. And so the sales that each of those legs come together on that first level represents your level 1 sales for this number right here for me, for example. So my goal is I want to grow my level 1 every single month. I want it to be higher than the month before, higher than the month before. So take a look at last month, what your level 1 was, and set a goal to grow that this month. Then take a look at your level 2. Notice here that my level 2 is like 4 times the size of my level 1. That's a good indication that my level 1 leaders, which many of them are you guys, are doing an amazing job of duplicating, okay? You are doing 1, 2, and 3 well, levels 1, 2, and 3, but you are also doing levels 4 well in terms of you are training other people to do levels 1, 2, and 3. And that's the result is 4 times of what your own personal volume is, which is great, okay? Now, you can see then to level 3, then, this is not quite as strong as that. So you level 2, so we're gonna work with you and help you get stronger at level 4. But when you're looking at your teams and when you're looking at your levels, you can quickly identify where's the drop off. Everyone has a drop off, and it will a lot of times depend on how old your team is, how seasoned you are, the different people in your organization. But your goal should always be that This should be getting bigger and bigger and bigger if people are in fact duplicating the way that you want. So, right here, you can see that 1, 2, and 3 are around the same, and then as we start to have a little bit of a drop off. So there's been some things lost in communication along the ways there. So it's important that if we had 100% compliance, then ideally this number would then grow and 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 then grow all the way down. So look at your numbers and identify where are the levels, where are the drop-offs, and then that will help you target in on the group of people that you need to help with either level 4, leadership, or even level 5, which would be duplication. Now, do I have a volunteer to do a little digging into somebody's numbers? Anybody think about that and say, yeah, Kelly, I can run my numbers. I'm okay doing that. I have a volunteer.
You can look at my numbers.
Who's that?
Shilpa.
Shilpa. Yay. Okay.
Nothing exciting.
Okay, so I'm going to run a report here. Just click on July because that'll be more fun numbers, more accurate numbers to take a look at. I'm going to just type in Shilpa. If you're ever doing this, guys, for whatever reason, they don't like last names, just type in the first name. Okay. So when they don't like your first name. Did I type it right, Shilpa? Oh, I probably had a filter on.
We can't see what you're doing.
Oh, shoot. Because I'm screen sharing. Can anybody else see my screen?
I can see it.
Oh, I just see you. Does anybody else? That's weird. Why?
Anybody
If you're
else?
looking on a phone, flip
I
it
got
so
it.
it's horizontal. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, I know what it was. It was this here. Sorry. Make sure you don't have any other filters on. And run down mine. Okay. So here is Shilpa. Okay. So at a quick glance, it's nice. It shows just like her total qualified volume for last month. But other than that, I need to really dig deeper. So I go under tools here. And here I can also use this little pie chart to take a look at her personal volume by level. This is also really good for helping people track as you're helping people track to promote to junior rep, senior rep. You can see what their current volume is and their level 1 volume. Really become familiar, like the back of your hand, with what you need for personal volume for level 1 and total downline volume for junior rep and for senior rep, because you're going to have a lot of people promoting to that. And ideally, you could really look at anybody that's a rep, and that should be their goal this month, junior rep or senior rep, for sure, to move everybody up a level within your organization. Okay, so I can see here, looking at here, so her level 0, great, strong personal volume last month, which is awesome. She had team members that she personally recruited that had a similar amount, which is great. And then they are starting to recruit themselves, which is great. Shilpa's new, so this is not uncommon to see an organization that looks pretty much like this. And as her organization grows, these numbers will grow with it. The goal being that, she wants to build this level 1 number to eventually be bigger and bigger every single month, and then be duplicating this number growing as well. So this is a good snapshot of that. Another way also, that a number you might be looking for when you're coaching a lot of people is looking at their personal volume history to make sure that they have their all-time personal volume. So I can go back and look at what her previous volumes were in previous months and see what her previous qualified volume is right here, or total qualified volume, which is necessary. She needed that 10,000 promote to director. So as a brand new director, that's important to make sure that you double check that she has that. Also, I should mention too, something that we saw last month is they were processing returns all the way up until the last day of the month. So as you're tracking for directors this closely, especially, it's really important that you not only are tracking numbers in your back office, but you are monitoring returns in your own back office at least. And maybe, communicating with your team too, that if there are any returns that are still pending out there that could possibly process, just be aware of that, so that you're not just finishing out the month right at 10,000, but you're really trying to go above that, nice $800, what does she have, $800 barrier? So let's see. Oh, 92. Okay. So want to be as give yourself as much of a buffer, because had a return come in for $150, it would have bumped her back underneath there. So just be really mindful of that as you're tracking for month end. Okay, so another thing I would want to look at qualitatively with my team is I'd click this little button here to take a look at her downline. Okay, so here we go. We want to take a look at entry dates and kind of numbers over here. So it looks like Shilpa recruited Valencia. And Valencia had a great month. She just joined a couple months ago, right after Shilpa, which is great. And oh, look, she's actually recruiting. This is exciting. Valencia has a team member, Courtney, who joined end of June. So she's newer. They both had really strong months. That's amazing. So actually, if I combine these two numbers, I'm guessing Valencia, it doesn't show me yet. It will show you over here in this little promotion tab, guys. Once commissions process later this week, you'll see a little like yellow bar that would show that they promoted. There'll be like a Y here, and it'll like alert you that they promoted, which is kind of nice. But I'm guessing, looking at these numbers, Shilpa, did Valencia promote last month to junior or senior rep?
Yep,
What did she promote
she
to?
did. Junior rep.
Junior rep, perfect. Okay. So, and the reason I know that, guys, is because I know she at least had the all-time personal volume, just based off of that alone, right? And she needed 1,500 in level 1 volume in order to make that junior rep qualification happen. So, so that's great. So she actually she probably did she promote to senior?
I don't know, actually. Now I'm looking
I was
at
gonna say,
it.
because 1,500 is senior, not junior. No, I'd have to run another report to see what Valencia's all-time personal volume is.
Senior's 3,000 lifetime personal volume and 1,200 first level. But she's not at 3,000. I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay. So the previous month she hadn't done enough to get that to 3,000. Got it. Okay. Because otherwise she would have done senior. So she's super close. So this would definitely be somebody that I would want to tap. And if you're a brand new director, like right away, because yes, senior rep or senior director is the next level of promotion, but executives after that. And in order to hit executive, you need to have 2 frontline directors. But right away, you should be saying, okay, I just got to director, but now who can I tap and uplift? I mean, it's one of the pillars of the company, right? So who can I uplift? Well, Valencia would definitely be an awesome candidate for Shilpa to really pour into and say, Valencia, oh my gosh, girl, I don't know if you realized it, but not only did you promote to junior rep last month, but you were like dollars away from promoting to senior rep. And I believe that you have it in you to become a director of this company. So, you know, let's take a look at maybe set up a time to talk, or take a look at what your calendar looks like to set you up so that you can have the kind of volume that Shilpa had last month, that you can work with Courtney to match that. And also both of you guys are growing your teams. And what that would mean is, okay, let's talk about Courtney. What's in it for Courtney? So always asking yourself, like, what's in it for that person? What's in it for Valencia? How is it going to benefit her? And then what's in it for Courtney? And how can getting on board with this overall goal really benefit her too? Because Courtney, absolutely, with just 1 or 2 new team members, can promote to junior or senior rep as well. So this would be an awesome little team to get going. In fact, looking at this, I mean, Valencia is already starting to build a team. I might even say, hey, Valencia, let's set up a chat, me, you, and Courtney. And that can kind of be like Valencia's team chat, where we're going to start, you know, really kind of building the culture. You guys, as you are adding, you know, kind of build it and they will come. As you're adding team members this month, you can add them to that chat. You can welcome them there. You guys can really kind of start building it. And you and Courtney can kind of build this together. I'm a huge proponent, guys, is I feel like when I see teams take off, I see them take off when they have the leader and they have their first follower. It's hard when you have a leader and a bunch of people that do nothing, because there's never like that validation of that leader. But if you have Valencia and Courtney and they're building this team together, it's going to be successful. There is an awesome YouTube video that I always recommend to people. I will post it somewhere, or if you want to look it up, it's called Leadership Lessons from dancing nut or something like that. But or just type in YouTube the Lone Nut leadership lessons. And in a nutshell, it's this crazy video of this guy, probably on drugs, dancing all crazy at this like party. And people are looking at him like he's crazy. And then all of a sudden, some other guy comes over and starts dancing next to him. And within seconds, people are like, that looks actually pretty fun. And then everyone wants to start dancing with this crazy guy, okay? So alone, he was this lone crazy nut. But if he has that first follower, that is really kind of the catalyst for change and for growth in a movement. So getting that first follower for your new team member to build their team is so, so huge. It's really when teams start to take off. Okay, and then also looking at this, okay, we've got Jamie. Jamie had some strong sales last month. That was in June, but she did, she joined in June. Chances are this is good because she probably launched and then had another strong month of sales, which is great. And then Anna looks like, she's brand sneaking new. So she's probably just about to launch. So, there's a lot of really good stuff going on in this team, but I definitely see Valencia as an opportunity to promote the director this month, Courtney for sure, junior or senior. And then I would tap Jamie and Anna and say, hey, let's go for junior rep based off of what their goals are and they want out of the business. So Shilpa, thank you so much for sharing your numbers this way with us, but this is just kind of one way that you can kind of dig into your numbers and take a look at this kind of the story that they're telling and kind of create a plan. So now I'm going to turn it over for the last segment to Jamie. And Jamie, Jamie has a kind of a call to action for you guys for how you kind of plan for each month of what you want to achieve. So Jamie? You there? Or does anyone have any questions about numbers before we move on to the last piece? Jamie, are you on mute?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
All right, if you guys are not muted, would you mute to your line? Let's see here.
I'm muting some people here.
Okay, awesome. All right, cool. So hopefully you really understood as Kelly was going through that example, how to look at your numbers, because the numbers, they just speak the truth to you. They tell you exactly what you need in order to be able to guide your people. And it's easy, like I was saying, like to look at someone that you really like and want to work with them, but then if you look at their numbers and they're not really showing that they're ready for promotion, you don't really want to work with them. You want to work with people where the numbers are where they need to be, because then it just feels easier. It feels easy for them. It feels natural. It feels like the next step. And that's really the key. So you have to be putting both of these pieces of the puzzle together, not just one or the other. Okay. That's really important. So once you've looked at both, you've figured out who's willing and capable, who has the leadership instinct, the skills, the desire, all of that, and you have looked at their numbers, we want you to pick 2 to 3, but we're gonna say 3 right now, 3 projects or people to work with for the month. And what we mean by that is, just like Kelly was basically doing, she was looking at the numbers and going, okay, I could work with Valencia because she already has a team member who is already moving. And that means that she could not only promote to senior rep because she was so close, but she could now get to director. So in that example, your project number 1 might be Valencia. So she might be your person that you're going to coach, train, whatever it is. So first you pick the project, and then you figure out what it is that I need to do. So what do I do with her? So now that you know her numbers, when you're working with a person, usually the first thing you need to do is have a conversation. It can be a live conversation, it can be a chat, it can be a Voxer, whatever it is, however you need to connect with that person and find out where they're at. Let them know what you've seen. Hey, I just was looking at numbers and I noticed you were inches away from senior rep. Really all we need to do is get your number to 3,000 lifetime, and you could be a senior rep this month, with your first line hitting X, so you're going through and you're showing her what that is, and you're having a conversation and getting her buy-in if she's ready for that. and then suggesting, hey, I really believe you could move to the next level. You could be a director. So that's where the conversation starts. But it also is really asking questions and looking at what she has booked for the month. If she's like, yeah, I'm all for it, sounds good. What you want to do is you say, great. First step is bookings. How many do you already have booked? What do you already have on your books right now? Because she might be excited and ready, like, I want to hit senior rep, I want to go for director, and she doesn't have any bookings, or maybe she just has 2, but you need to get her to 8 or 10. And so the first step is going to be, how many appointments do you have booked? What prospects are you working with already? Look at her actual numbers, because if you have no idea, then you can be her cheerleader as much as you want, and she's not going to go anywhere. And then she's going to be frustrated, and you're going to be frustrated. So helping her figure out if there's any holes there, and working with her on that. And then setting up, if she needs accountability, setting up a weekly accountability. If it's just, that she's kind of a go-getter, and all she needed was that one conversation, and she's going to go for it. And all you have to do is, cheerlead a little bit every week. You just have to be able to read your people and know what they need, or simply ask them what they need. Okay, so the people are fairly simple, because you're really just having a conversation around their numbers. You're telling them what you see in them, and then you're able to, help them get where they want to go. So the other kinds of projects that you might have, if they're not people related, would be that you're noticing that a lot of your people are asking, how do you recruit? Like, I'm really struggling with recruiting. Or you're noticing that sales aren't as high, or that, you're having $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 in sales, and your people are having 2,000. So maybe your project is increasing sales. Maybe you're noticing that their parties aren't as high, and so you talk about host coaching, or they're not booking very well, and so you want to look at booking. So you're looking at basically some of the skills that we have, and you're saying, I feel like we're missing a boat as a group on this skill. And then you're going to say, okay, what do I need for this? And specifically, you might say, if it's for booking, you might say, okay, they need training on booking. They need scripts. They need to know who to book. They need to know, some of the training pieces. And you might go back into units and tag them there, or copy and paste a YouTube video and say, okay, gals, you know what I want to do? I want to challenge each of you to book, 3 parties in the next 24 hours. Here's some scripts. Here's a training that I would love for you to watch. And I'm going to recognize you on your VIP page when you do this, just as a rock star on my team. And so you do a training, and then you do a challenge. And those are usually the things that you want to do to build skill, because people need to learn something, and it can either be you doing the training, it can be you guiding them towards something else, it can be you plugging them in with an upline. It doesn't matter where the training source comes from, but most likely if you're skill building, they're going to need some kind of training there. And then it's offering some kind of challenge to say, okay, now that you have this skill and you've learned about it, now we need to put it into action. And so that's where you're doing, and then you're following up with that. It can be, you can offer some kind of prize if they complete it or not. It can be a shout out. It can be nothing. It can be like, hey, this is just something that I know is going to help move you forward. Okay. So I believe that this will really help you kind of narrow things down as you're looking at your team, because you can look at it and go, I don't see anything. And if that's what you're doing, then talk with one of us and say, okay, I'm looking at these numbers. I don't know where to go with this. What projects would I need to do? What people do I need to work with? And if that's something that you need our help with in the beginning, we can help. And then that's going to be something that you start to master yourself, and pulling up those reports will be easy, and you're going to be able to see these things a lot quicker. So the other thing I would also say is that for me, when I was building my business in another direct sales business, the thing that I struggled with most as a new leader was words. I never felt like I had the words to say when someone would come to me with a challenge or an opportunity, or saying, hey, I'm ready to move up. And I'm like, oh, good, I want you to move up, but now what, And I would feel like I didn't have the right questions to ask. I didn't know what to say next. And I found that when I just reached up and I said, okay, this is the scenario, what would you say? And I constantly asked, what would you say? What would you say? I heard it enough times that I began to sound like my mentors. I'm like, okay, now I just know what to say. And I've learned that asking questions is so, so powerful. So instead of just saying, wow, that's a great goal, that's awesome, I know you can do it, you're asking a question afterwards. You're saying, great, tell me specifically where you're going to go with that, or tell me how many parties you have booked. Who's on your prospect list? You're digging deeper because you need to find out more than just being her cheerleader. It could be like, okay, what are you going to do to celebrate when this goal is achieved? So you are going a little bit further and asking questions. If you don't know what kinds of questions to ask, again, reach up. We can help you with that, because you will benefit from letting your team members speak more than you speak. Let them talk. Let them respond to the questions that you have. Let them share with you how they're really feeling, because then you're able to really guide them in the direction that they need to go. Because we can want something for people really, really badly, partially because we just want to see them excel. We want to see that exuberance on their face. And sometimes it can be a little selfish, like, okay, I want them to do well because I want to do well, okay? But either way, we're helping the person, but it has to be genuine. We have to get them where they want to go in a way that works for them. It is not about us in those conversations. It is about saying, okay, if this is the area that they're struggling, what can we do to get them what they need in this situation to move them forward? And it could be just a simple skill. It could be something bigger, like other emotional things. They get too excited and then they get let down really easy. So we're working with emotional management. There may be other things that you're working with besides skills. And again, if you don't know how to manage that, then come to us. We can maybe give you some words to say on that as well. But you might also have things in your arsenal that you're like, you know what, I've learned this before, or I've actually gone through something similar and I can share, and this can shed some light to move them forward. So I would love to open it up for questions about the projects. Like if you have questions about how to do that, or anything that especially Kelly has shared with looking at your numbers. Do you guys have questions? I know a lot of you are.
Does anyone else want us to dig into their numbers, or anyone?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you ever work with somebody's downline, not your direct downline, but is that, if you know that the person underneath you is not in a place to be leading, is that ever a conversation that you end up having with your direct downline and getting their team members going?
Yeah, no, it's definitely happens. It doesn't matter where somebody kind of falls in the whole like lineage. If I have somebody who's willing, it's like brings me so much joy to help that person succeed that I don't care if they're direct to me or not. It can be frustrating for that person where they have a higher ambition than the person that sponsored them into the company. And so that's absolutely your duty to be able to support them. In turn, it all kind of elevates the person in between the two of you. To promote to director, you only need to have $500 in personal volume if you are the actual director, as long as you have the all-time personal volume, for example. So oftentimes by working with that person that's even underneath that person that's not doing a whole lot, you can still kind of grow that whole team into a directorship team. So yeah, I would definitely just kind of take a look at your willing. Eventually you are going to have to prioritize your time. So prioritize it on your front line, which is your first line leaders or first line representatives. But I have a few adoptees, I would call them, where I've kind of pulled them into my front line and work with them like my own personal team member. So Jamie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just agree. I think that, when somebody, that's in our downline has not hit the position of director or even senior director yet, that I think it's even more our duty to actually reach in and help them. They signed up with the intention of getting mentored. And if they're not getting the mentorship that they need from the person who sponsored them, then it is our job to do that. That's how I kind of think about it, because they were put under our leadership for a reason. Now, if somebody is a director and they're, still not doing that, then you were having a conversation with the director and almost kind of getting their okay, like, hey, I see that you've taken a step back. Do you mind if I work with your people? And most of the time they're like, oh my gosh, would you? So, but before being a director, I really think that it's our duty to work with people if they don't have an upline that's doing that.
And that's a big differentiation too, because you might have somebody who's just new and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I just worked with my best friend and we're joining together. Like, don't expect that person to onboard that person. Remember, they're just learning levels 1, 2, and 3 themselves. So I would say anyone who is in your downline who is not already a director or has a team of people underneath there, you should be working with. So whether you recruited them or somebody else recruited them, if there is not a director between the two of you, you're the one that's welcoming that person, onboarding that person, helping them get their business started, answering questions. Like it doesn't matter what line they are. They could be 100 lines down. If there's no director between you and them, then you should be, jumping right in there. And if you're noticing in the numbers that director is not translating, like that, you're not seeing that person is duplicating, but there are people there that are doing something. Like, but there's somebody in between that does nothing in terms of the numbers. You'll see like level 1, that person 0, and then you'll see this person has 2, 3, 4. She's got all these people underneath her, different levels, and they're doing stuff. That's like ding, 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 ding. Like those people are probably just lucky, and they're just doing whatever they're like like pirates. They're just kind of out on their own, kind of doing whatever they need to do. They need you, so reach out to them and say, hey, you probably have never even realized, but there's actually a system I could teach you, and you're already having success without it, and I can help you explode. So it sounds crazy when you have a smaller team, like, how could this happen? And I have these like rogue legs of people off doing stuff. It happens. It's crazy how fast this business can grow. So it's important to keep an eye on your numbers that way.
Who else has questions? I know someone else does. We've got you thinking.
I mean, my questions are always around like recruiting, like, talking to people that are super interested, and there's always something holding them back. And I know I recruited a few, but I guess I don't know how to get past that wall sometimes without sounding like pushy. Like, for instance, there was a girl in one of my parties this week, and I saw that she happened to be on Opportunity Knocks. So for some reason I saw that. And she said she was really frustrated because the person who, was throwing her party was like really pushy and kind of made her feel uncomfortable, even though she really wants to do it. So she's not doing it right now. And I guess I don't want to come off like that either, right? Like, not that I do, I don't think, but I don't want to ever make somebody feel like, are you gonna join? Are you gonna join? Are you gonna join? Are you ready yet? So I don't know if you use the lingo. I don't know how often to check back with them.
I think you have to first use your gut. If you're feeling like, oh my gosh, it's too much. It's too, like, if that's how you're feeling, it probably is, And sometimes if you're just going for a goal, you just check back in. You do. And it might be a huge blessing to her that you check back in, and it might still be a no, but sometimes you just do. You just say, hey, I'm just swinging back in, checking in with you, and wanted to see if anything has changed since the last time we talked. If you're doing that weekly, I wouldn't do that. But if it's been a few months and, you're still thinking about them, or they're still really active on your VIP page or whatever it may be, then you might go in that direction again. But I think that they give you clues. People do give you clues that if you're really paying attention, whether it's constantly being, they're liking everything, they're commenting on your stories, they're engaging constantly, they're still asking you questions on the side. Those are the people that are like ready. They like need another invitation to say yes. And then people that are silent, that doesn't mean that they're not ready. It could be that they're just silent thinkers. So you might have to give them a little bit more space, but then circle back. I don't have a specific time frame. I think it's more about using your gut, but just not waiting too long.
And Shilpa,
Okay.
I also wouldn't like make whatever the situation is like haunt you, because just because this person feels pushed by this random situation, that's not going to be everybody. Most people don't have other Zaya reps pushing them and like that you have to tread lightly with them. So don't let this situation haunt you in other situations where I can tell you it is the most gut-wrenching, awful feeling to see one of your friends join under somebody else. Trust me, I've been there. It's awful. You just want to throw up. It's the worst feeling ever, okay? So, and that feeling is, gosh, why didn't I reach out to her? Oh, and then you have this laundry list of fear and doubt and why I didn't reach out and fear of rejection, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, let that drive you to reach out to as many people as you can, because you never know who's thinking about it. And it doesn't mean you're being pushy if you're just offering the option to check it out, you know? So with this person, I think this is kind of an isolated situation. We can talk about it kind of offline if you want to go detail into this person, but I wouldn't let this haunt you because I wouldn't say this is typical.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
You don't want to miss anybody else amazing out there. So, any other questions, guys? Well, I, for one, am so happy to have this recorded as well. For those of you that were not able to make it and can have this on playback, this has kind of been the theme of the questions that we've been getting as a leadership group, and much needed at this time. So let's continue the conversation, continue to ask questions, and maybe we'll do another segment more on coaching in the future. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Jamie. You're amazing. So smart. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us. It's been amazing. Okay, guys.
Month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.